So I want to start off by saying about 2.5, 3 years ago, I got a job at this non-profit agency. And essentially what this non-profit agency does is they help people find jobs. Great, helping the community. Where I went wrong from the very beginning, when I applied for that job, I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I'm not capable of having a job that's above minimum wage because I felt so low about myself. My confidence was so low, and how I was living my day-to-day life was contributing to my low confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth, being a victim. It was my daily actions that moved me towards victimhood. It was getting offended at every little thing, but I'm gonna stick with this. When I started this job, everyone was telling me I'm perfect for the position. Reason being is that I have experience in the social work field. Once I turned about 25, I had been struggling off and on with addiction, and I knew that people who had the most success being sober, it's because they helped other people and they helped people in the same fashion that they were helped. That's a really big thing in recovery. I notice with a lot of people is after they get sober, they have a lot of gratitude and they want to give back, and they want to pass the gift of sobriety on to the next person. That's not special to just us because we're getting sober. I think that's a human thing. And I think what happens is we get in addiction and alcoholism and we disconnect from society for so long, we end up in our own little world. The things that we see in our day-to-day lives are so traumatic, and we might be strong and we might be able to handle stuff, but like, the things that we see and go through on a day-to-day basis leave a footprint on us. No matter how strong you are, it's like there's always things to work on, there's always things to improve, there's always reflection that can be done on yourself to analyze where you went wrong, where the mistake could have been prevented. And I've had a lot of time to review my past behavior, and I gotta say, it's like, I went into that job thinking I'm not good enough, even though everyone was telling me that I am. I'm more than good enough. I'm more than qualified. I have more than enough experience to do this job. So what happened is I went into this job with this attitude of like, I'm gonna lose this job when they figure out how unqualified I am. And then it's like, I felt like I was putting on a performance for like 3 months. And my supervisor, my manager, was an absolute nightmare. And I swear this person hated me just because I'm a tall, white, somewhat handsome, fit dude. But at the time, I was super overweight. I went above and beyond to make other people feel comfortable. I was working with a whole bunch of people that align themselves with woke ideology. I'm not gonna get into my perspective and like what I think about it. I just wanna say everyone that I was working with really, really leaned heavy towards the left in all areas. And so did I. I went into that job being like a soft little people-pleasing, fat, selfish, self-centered, egotistical. I had all these things going for me, working against me. And at that point in my life, it's like I had a couple good people work with me and try to point these things out, and I would just lose my shit on them. For whatever reason, a couple of them still decided to stick by me, and they're still in my life today, and like, I owe them so much on a spiritual level. I don't owe them on a financial level, but I'm in debt to them by not giving up on me, by doing what they did for someone else. So no matter how hopeless someone seems, I cannot give up on them. I have a debt that needs to be repaid to society. I have to help others the way that I was helped. This is a very common thing amongst us people who go through trauma. So I'm at this job, and the first 3 months, I was trying to do everything I could to like damage control and make sure that like how I felt about myself didn't get released to the wild, and like my own thoughts of being underqualified and that. Basically, I was waiting for an opportunity to shine. Me and this other guy, we started on the same day and we shared an office together, and we were both pretty stoked. This guy was a registered counselor. He had way more certification than me. And I should have caught on, but my supervisor would always talk shit when he wasn't around about like his counseling certificate. Like, that guy getting hired and having a certificate that he had to go to school for like 4 years to get, then he comes into this toxic work environment. Just his aura and his past education made the people who work there very uncomfortable. And the people who work in these places, they make sure that they control everything. Just to give you guys a small example of how terrible this supervisor is, it got to the point where like every time I'd leave upstairs to go back downstairs, I caught this person twice hiding behind walls trying to listen to my conversations. The biggest thing though, this person made me do everything they could to make me feel like my true intentions of not wanting money that much, really wanting to help people and get paid through that spiritual value, made this person very uncomfortable. I think it took about a month of this supervisor kinda getting to know me. This person was very uncomfortable that I believed in God, that I believed in the universe, because this person is a very far left-leaning science, God is nothing type of stance. And it's crazy because like I never mentioned anything about God in my class, the universe, nothing. It took this person a month, and they must have been like burning inside to tell me, just to let me know in front of a whole bunch of people too at the best time, that God is not accepted in the classroom and that I need to make sure I'm not bringing God into the classroom. And I'm like, where did you even get that from? When have I ever brought up God? This person wasn't expecting me to be assertive because I used to be such a people-pleasing cuck that like it caught them off guard that I actually said, are you kidding me? And right away, oh, it's just because I know what you believe. And like, I should have went to HR. I should have played the little game and go tell, but I didn't, because even then, like, even though I didn't like this person, I didn't want to see them get in trouble. People make mistakes, I get it. But that was the first of many different things that like I had to deal with in this toxic environment. The second thing was like, at this point, we had already sat down with HR, the three of us, because there were so many issues. And the last strike this person could really make towards me, I was winning. And by winning, it's because this person was going mad that they couldn't get me. They couldn't pick at me enough to make me explode, which would then result in me losing my job. They couldn't control that, and that in itself drove the person bonkers. Took a couple days, but the person comes downstairs in my classroom where I just had 10 guys that are pouring out their soul to me, and I'm like basically the middleman between like what way of life they're gonna go. I had so much pressure at the end of every day that I needed to just decompress for like an hour. And I had a couple students that were just like no social awareness whatsoever, and they would just like stay after class till the very last minute because they enjoyed being in my company. But eventually I had to set a boundary and say like, this job is very difficult and you might think I'm very strong, but I too need my own decompression time. Anyway, this supervisor comes down to my classroom and says, yeah, just so you know, I'm gonna buy a pride flag and put it up in the classroom, and it's gonna cover this whole wall. And it happened to be the wall that I'm always looking at when I'm teaching, and I didn't react. Actually, what I said is, yeah, it's very important that everyone feels included. Great idea. And then I went back to doing my work, and like, I didn't even get a, yeah, you're right. No, this person was more angry that I encouraged her to go get a pride flag. Like, you're not gonna move me. Eventually this person lost their job, and now this person is working as like in the community, helping the vulnerable people. But like the way that this person treated the vulnerable people in my workplace, and it's insane how these people are like the ones who are in control. It's like, it was such a difficult 2-year period. It really took everything I had for me to just keep my cool for those first 6 months. And you know what the biggest thing I had in mind most of the time was? I'm a guy. I need to be extra careful how I come across. I need to make sure that I'm treating people with kindness. It's very easy for a guy to come across a little bit too tough. And these nonprofit agencies that have these left-leaning people that control it in management, they don't want masculine men in the environment. They want weak little men who are going to do what they're told and not stand up for what they believe in, such as pushing propaganda on men that come from a long line of trauma. And if any of these 10 guys came into class and saw a pride flag, I'm not talking shit, it's just facts, they would turn around and walk away. This isn't the kind of environment I create in my lessons. The type of environment I create, which is what I'm going to end on, doesn't align with nonprofit agencies. So many people use nonprofit agencies. So many people take advantage of the system, and they're only taking up a seat in the classroom because at the end of the program, they get money or they get a laptop or some way to work the system. And I'm not about that. And I believe if you're working the system, you're going to have bad karma come your way. And that's just not how you want to deal with life. That type of shit spreads to other areas. And I don't wish that on anyone, but I had to get to that place where I hate myself for my people pleasing. And I'm so disgusted in myself to really break that habit, because things like people pleasing, any kind of manipulation, they're so easy to get into and get addicted to, and they just truly spread like wildfire. So it's good to keep your side of the street clean and have integrity, and at least care enough to have it. Food for thought. Hey guys, Cody here. I just thought I would take you with me on a little bit of a late night cruise. Just finished at the pool. Spent 15 minutes in the steam room. After about 8 minutes, my body was just screaming to get out of there. Everything in me wanted to leave that steam room. So instead of leaving, I went down to the lower part, like the lower bench. And you know, the higher you go, the hotter it is. I know a little bit about physics at least, so instead of going out, I just did that, stayed in there for a full 15 minutes, and that's really tough. And that's actually a lot tougher than a lot of stuff I'm gonna go through in life. So I think by challenging myself to stay in the steam room, that discipline is going to travel to other areas of my life. And I gotta think big like that, because I've had big things happen in my life that don't make sense whatsoever, no matter what way you look at it. It doesn't make sense so much that it makes sense. I love those things because they're so rare, and they just blow your mind. They're so underrated, those little lessons. So I think the best thing we can learn from our trauma is we have an impact on people. And I like to think, especially after we've been through hard times, we're more inclined to treat people with the kindness that we never got treated with. It's funny how that works. I mean, I will admit, for some people, they seem to find more comfort in being cruel and passing it forward, but I think a lot of people realize that other people have an impact, and they have an impact, and they have the power to make a difference. Good will always win, good will always persevere, and no matter what situation you're in, when you start to do good, you always have a little bit in your stomach, that just a glimmer of hope. And sometimes that's all you need. Get you through to the next day and figure out another thing you can do. So like, sometimes we're stuck in places we can't do anything about, but we can. You just have to think big, think positive, always stay positive. When it doesn't seem like there's a way out, there always is. You have to get resourceful. And that's another thing that trauma really seems to do, is make you resourceful. So the same analogy that I used for pushing yourself to stay in the steam room, increasing discipline in other areas of your life, how they're the same, like they tie together. I think the same concept applies for when you've gone through difficult periods in your life. They shape strength in various other areas of your life that you'd never expect. And sometimes that's the positive I'm always talking about, that comes out of your trauma and difficult times. Is sometimes, even if it just makes you stronger, that's a positive, because you're always going to go through something similar again. And isn't it always better to be prepared? You got to ask yourself that. You got to think about it. Wouldn't you rather be prepared for the next difficult time? There's always two sides to everything, so keep that in mind. Try to stay positive. You're going to sleep better at night, I can promise you. Even if you start looking in the mirror and asking yourself, like, what's my part? What can I do better? Where can I improve? We don't think we're perfect. We're never going to be cured. We're never going to be fixed. It's always a journey. But we can start to fall in love with the journey. When your heart is in it, you know. I think I'll leave it there. Hope everyone has a great rest of their night. I really like these late night drives. I want to do more of them, so you'll definitely see more of this type of style. Food for thought.